So, before we start, a brief note on the law. So, health and safety risk assessment is implied in the Health and Safety at Work Act 1974. Section 2 says it shall be the duty of every employer to ensure, so far as reasonably practicable, the health, safety and welfare at work of all his employees. Section 3, it shall be the duty of every employer to conduct his undertaking in such a way as to ensure, so far as reasonably practical, that persons not in his employment who may be affected thereby are not thereby exposed to risks to their health and safety. And finally, it shall be the duty of every employee whilst at work to take reasonable care for the health and safety of himself and of other persons who may be affected by his acts or omissions at work. And as regards any duty or requirement imposed on his employer or any other person by or under any of the relevant statutory provisions to cooperate with him so far as is necessary to enable that duty or requirement to be performed or complied with. So what he's saying, so it's implying that you need to do something to ensure the health and safety of the employees, of the general public. The employees have to cooperate with that in order to ensure that that everyone is safe. Health and safety risk assessment is also formally required by the implementation of EC Framework Directive 89/391 EEC, which we have enacted through the Management of Health and Safety at Work regs, and indirectly through the various other various other health and safety regulations, which show that there are many. So these are general principles of prevention listed in the directive. So avoid the risks, evaluate the risks, combat the risks at source, adapt the work to the individual. So what we're saying here is you can't adopt a one-size-fits-all policy. So when you're considering the evaluation of the risks, you need to consider the people that you've got and whether they are going to be more or less likely to be affected by the hazard. So manual handling of a 20-kilo object for a gentleman of 6'5" of large proportions may be a very different matter to someone who is female and sits at a height of 5 foot and is very slight of frame. So you need to adapt the work to the individual, adapt the work to technical progress. You always want to be reviewing things to find out if the new technology has offered you a safer way of doing things, or for instance if the new technology has brought in new hazards that you hadn't thought of previously. Replace the dangerous with the none or less dangerous. Develop a coherent overall prevention policy. Prioritize collective measures over individual measures, and give appropriate instructions to the workers. So the employer shall evaluate all the risks to the health and safety of the workers, inter alia, as in without exception, in the choice of the work equipment, the chemical substances, the preparations used, and the fitting out of the workplaces. Implement measures which assure an improvement in the level of protection afforded to workers who are integrated into all of the activities and undertaking and or establishment of all hierarchical levels. So what he's saying there is the risk assessment needs to be all the way through everything that you do. Take into consideration the workers' capabilities as regards to health and safety when you entrust tasks to workers. Designate workers to carry out activities related to the protection and prevention of occupational risks. Inform and consult workers to allow them to take part in the discussions on all questions relating to safety and health at work, and ensure that each worker receives adequate health and safety training.